Hi, I'm Tom Stephenson and welcome to Construction Project Management Principles. Today we're going to be looking at 8 reasons why construction schedules fail. Today we're going to just pull out 8 of the most common reasons. One is starting a project and not really having a well thought out baseline. A baseline is where you've done an outline of the schedule. You've made a plan for how you're going to approach the project. And it's important to have that because that's going to form the benchmark for which you're going to measure your progress against. So if you don't have that, or if you have it and it's kind of willy-nilly, it's not done very well and you don't have very much to compare to. It also gives you a lack of incentive and a lack of motivation towards finishing that project on a specific time frame. Not engaging with the people doing the work. Construction projects are very complex endeavors. They require the bringing together of a lot of different people, forces, entities, machinery, materials, and coordinating that and sequencing that. And you know what? People are very specialized in construction. You have the trades, you have construction, you have plumbers, you have carpenters, you have electricians, you have mechanical contractors, and drywallers, you name it. There's probably 30 plus 40 trades that you may have on a single large project, or more, very easily more than that. And so you have to bring them in at the right time. You have to work out with them the time that they're going to take to do the work, and you have to do it in such a way that they don't get in the way of others, or you don't get materials in the way of them. And you have to coordinate that. Well, you know what? You don't know that much. Even if you're a very experienced general contractor, there's no way you know all the intricacies of the work that they're doing. Plus, they're very good at what they do. And if you're not engaging with them, if you're not really getting them to engage with you, that's a huge lost opportunity. In lean construction methodologies, we call that non-utilized talent or underutilized talent. Everybody working on your project is a talent, and if you're not bringing them their full A game to bear, it's going to cost you in the successful completion of the project, especially from a time frame factor. Well, supply chain interruptions. So I work a lot with industries. I'm a professor of construction management, and I do a lot of consulting with different companies. And right now, we're having a lot of trouble, probably more trouble with supply chains than we've had in the last 25 years. We've had a pandemic, there's been a lot of interruptions, and supply chain interruptions, unexpected kind of black swan events to our supply chain. That's having a lot of issues with us being able to deliver projects on schedule. Even in normal times, supply chain interruptions can be problematic. And things like strikes and things of that nature. You can imagine if your project is really heavily dependent on concrete and there's a concrete driver's strike and the major suppliers are all not working. That can cause big delays in your ability to keep to schedule. Number 4, lack of commitment. So you see I've got a few of them here that have to do with people. You know what? Going back to number 1, you can have the best well thought out baseline ever, but if you don't actually get people to do what you need to do when you need it, you're going to be left hanging. So another big reason that project schedules fail is lack of commitment. So why might they have a lack of commitment? Well, going back to number 2, you might not have engaged them fully in the work. They may not fully comprehend the fact that if they don't show up today, how that might impact other trades in the project. So we want to create systems that allow us to better engage and better utilize the trades and allow for them to have a better understanding of the impact that their work has on others. They need to know what they're giving to the next trade. They need to know and communicate to you and the trade that's before them what they need to start. So there has to be clarity in the handoffs. If you want to think about it like running a relay race, well, you want to make sure that that baton passes smoothly to the next runner, or you're going to have problems in your race. Not updating and recovering on a regular basis. There's a reason why we created this baseline. so that we can measure how we're doing against our plan. We want to see, are we ahead of schedule? Are we behind schedule? What is going on? And if we're behind schedule, what are some of the steps that we need to take? And we can think about this from a long-term perspective and a short-term perspective. There's the master project schedule that will be on a critical path typically, but there's also the short-term schedules. And we have to make sure that we have good communication going on and that we're learning as we go. So that brings up number 6. If you don't have solid short-term planning cycles, solid short-term scheduling practices in place, then you're missing huge opportunities. And by short-term, you've got this master project schedule baseline that you develop, but you know what? It's not going to go exactly the way you planned. Plus, you don't have enough detail in this. You get more detail as you come closer to the work. And so like 6 weeks out, you know a lot more than you knew at 2 years out. At 1 week out, you know a lot more than you knew at 6 weeks out. Tomorrow, I know a lot more of what we intend to do than I know a week from now. So as we get closer to the work, we have better understanding of it. But we also have to make sure that we've communicated and worked out the best approach. Because when we're working on this, we don't have that level of detail. We're really working to milestones in this particular type of a schedule. And then what we want to do is work from the milestones back to the current date. So if it's at the first milestone, from the first milestone back to the start date. This is actually lean construction methodology and last planner systems and thinking that's going into these practices. So not having solid short-term planning cycles means that you're leaving a lot on the table. You're in reactive mode a lot of the time. There's constraints that are popping up and surprising you. You haven't dealt with them until they've become right on you, and that's very reactive in nature. And it causes people to burn out. Too many changes and not tracking them. Well, this will tie to some of the future points here too, is we need to have, when we not too many changes and not tracking them, we need to have solid drawings, and we need to have clients that have thought things through. Every project's going to have changes. That's fine. But there can be a limit to how many changes, or if it's going to be a lot of changes that the plan wasn't that well thought out, or the client knows they changed their mind a lot. Hopefully they haven't decided to go with a lump sum contract. Hopefully they've gone with a different contract model that makes it much easier for changes to take place. Cost plus might be one example in a case like that, where you're going to have a multitude of changes. But if you have too many, it becomes very difficult to manage, and it interrupts the plan a lot. Construction is one of the only industries where we have so many changes take place during a process. You don't see that in manufacturing. You don't see that on a process or production line. But we do see it in construction. But if we have too many of them, it will be very, very difficult to have a successful schedule. And not having fully complete issued for construction drawings and specifications. If there's gaps, if there's errors, that tends to have pretty big impacts on our ability to keep and manage the schedules effectively. In all cases, we should be managing the schedules effectively so that we can also justify extra costs and relief for us, especially if we're not the ones that are causing the delays to the project. We have to be able to track and manage it very effectively. So 8 reasons construction schedules fail are these ones lined out. But there are many, many more. And I would say to you, if you haven't looked into this particular area, look into lean construction methods and last planner systems. They can help. They can help you more effectively manage your projects and more effectively manage your schedules. Fully over 70% of construction projects end up being over budget and late. And there's a lot of room for us to improve in the construction industry, and these are just a good starting point for you to think about. So hopefully that's giving you something to think about from that perspective. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you want to look at more videos, you can look up on my channel. I have many construction videos, some that are outlined in courses on my playlist. So whether you're looking at cost control, site management, construction business management, Microsoft project, there are many different videos. So please click subscribe if you enjoyed this. Click the notifications. I put out 2 videos a week, or at least I try to, and you'll be updated of new videos as they become available. So I'm Tom Stephenson, wishing you a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.